So good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. So my dear children, so today we are going to start with the first class of this 8th standard. Okay, so the first class is basically, so these are the chapters which we are going to cover one by one. The first chapter is like set theory, then goes square roots and cube roots, then goes rational numbers, then goes indices, identities, expansion identities, factors, linear equations, simultaneous equations, quadratic expression, polynomials, compound interest, statistics, congruence of triangles, circles, and volume and surface area. So these are the chapters which we are going to do one by one. So first of all, let me before I start, let me just ask one thing. Is my voice audible to you guys?
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Okay, that's
Yes,
great.
sir.
That's great. That's great. So wonderful. I'm really glad that my voice is audible to you guys. I would like to start with, in fact, before starting with the set and all those things, let's start with the second chapter first of all. Like before starting with the first chapter, I would like to start with the second chapter, that is square roots and cube roots. Okay. So first of all, let us understand what is a square root. Okay, I'll be starting with the second chapter first of all, square roots and cube roots, and then I'll be proceeding towards the first chapter. So, okay. So square, you know what is a square? Square is basically what, like for example, if you have a number like this, if you have a number 6, you're multiplying this number with the same number, we say that you're squaring. So the denotion or the symbol which we use to say that we are squaring is basically 2. We write 2 above this number. When we write 2 above this number, it is understood that we are going to square this number. So squaring means multiply this number with the same number itself. So whatever is the answer, I say the square of 6 is 36. We say that the square of 6 is 36. This is how we say it. Now the inverse of like ulta, inverse, the reverse of square is called as square root. So if square of 6 is 36, then ulta, that is square root of 36 is 2. Like how we say, ulta ka another example is, if we say double of 3 is 6, उसका उल्टा अगर बोलना है, we say half of 6 is 3, right? So this particular statement is the inverse or reverse of the above statement. Similarly, if you wish to say square of 6 is 36, similarly, the inverse or the reverse of that is square root of 36 is 6. And the symbolic representation, like for square, we use 2 on the head of the number. Similarly, if you wish to say square root, first of all, you write 36 and then you will draw this particular symbol. This particular symbol. This is the symbol of square root. So 36 square root. Square root of 36 is 6. Similarly, another example, if you say 2 square is 4. Similarly, square root of 4 is 2. 3 square is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 4 square is 16. Now tell me, what should I write in the second line?
Square root of 16
Square
is
root
4.
of 16 is 4.
Wonderful. Square root of 16 is 4. So basically, it's the inverse or the reverse of whatever squaring we have done. Okay. ठीक है. trying out few examples. Like first of all, the square root of 64. How do we find square root of 64? If you directly remember, obviously, I'm sure that you directly know what is the square root of 64. If by chance you don't know the square root of any particular number, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to break these numbers into small numbers like 2, 3, 5, whatever the prime numbers you can get. You have to break these numbers into smallest prime numbers available with you. Like the 64 can be broken into 2 multiplied by 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 2. How did we do that? So you might be knowing this method called as factorization. So you write 64, you divide it by 2. When you divide it by 2, you get 32. Then again you divide it by 2, you get 80, sorry, 16. Then again if you divide it by 2, you get 8. Again you divide it by 2, you get 4. Again you divide it by 2, you get 2. Again you divide it by 2, you get 1. So in the end, whatever number you got, so that's your final like these. So when you write the factors of these numbers, so writing factors you are very well aware. So you write it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So since you've got all the factors, now what is your next step? You have to pair them. Pair the same numbers. Like 2 के साथ 2 को ही pair करना है. So this is a pair of 2. 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 So you've got 3 pairs of 2. So each pair can be written as 2 multiplied by 2 can be written as 2 square. Then again you have 2 multiplied by 2 which can be written as 2 square. Then again you have 2 multiplied by 2 which can be written as 2 square. Overall you have a square root. Now in case of multiplication, we are allowed to do one thing. We can take the squares in common if they are in multiplication. Only if they are in multiplication. So you can take the square or square root common outside only if the numbers are in multiplication or division. Yes. So this rule you can remember. Okay. So you are allowed to take common outside only if they are in multiplication or division. Otherwise, you are not allowed. Okay. So since they are in multiplication, I will take common. I will write this as 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 whole square outside and whole root outside. As you already know, square and square root both are ulta of each other or inverse of each other. So what you can do, you can directly cancel the square with the square root and then you are left with only 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, which is 8. This is how you can find that the square root of 64 is 8. Okay. So this is one method of finding the square root. See, another number we have over here is 90. 90 ka square root if you try to find, again the same method using factorization, what you can do, you can find the factors. So when you find the multiplication factors, you found the 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5. Here you have a pair 3 into 3, but you don't have a pair for 2, you don't have a pair for 5, which means 2 and 5 cannot be grouped into pairs, and hence I can say 90 is not a perfect square. Okay, in this case 90 is not a perfect square. Now if you'll say, sir, okay, I know 90 is not a perfect square, so but can we simplify this? Yes, we can simplify this. What can we do? So we can rewrite this as 3 into 3 is what? 3 square. Then what do you have? You have 2 and 5. You don't, like, there is no need of keeping them as separately 2 and 5 because there is no need of it. So now it is a whole square root. Now as I've already said, you can take the square root or square outside as common, if there is a multiplication. So if there is a multiplication, मैं common निकाल सकता हूँ या फिर distribute भी कर सकता हूँ. Like in this case, the square root is common for both the numbers. So since it is a multiplication, I can break them into 2 square roots like this. This is allowed. Okay, I can break them. So this one square root can be broken into 2 different square roots. So that also I can write over here. You can, just a minute, I'll just edit this. You can take the square or square root common outside or break them inside only if the numbers are in multiplication or division. So आप कॉमन करके बाहर भी निकाल सकते हो, नहीं तो कॉमन वाले नंबर को तोड़ के अंदर भी डाल सकते हो. Both the options are allowed only if there is a multiplication or division in between them. Since there is a multiplication, I'm going to break the square root. Now this square and square root will get cancelled, and what I'm left with is 3 multiplied by root 10. So 3 root 10 is the simplified format of this root 90. But ultimately, since you cannot take the square root of 10, or the 10 is not a perfect square, I can say that the 90 is also not a perfect square. So this is the basic understanding of these two numbers. So far, am I clear? Dear children, yeah. Am I audible, dear children?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay, okay. Yeah, in between, some network issues I faced, due to which I got kicked out of the meeting. Now I'm back.
Excuse me,
So,
sir.
yes, Naitik, tell me. Somebody said, excuse me. Naitik, tell me what's the
Yes,
matter?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you said that we can take common outside and break them inside. In
Mhm.
multiplication and in division, it is you said that a
It,
upon b ka whole root is a root upon b root. That is only the thing, right?
correct, absolutely.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt? I believe I'm clear. Okay. So, huh. So, dear children, what I was saying, I have explained these two numbers, just for your understanding. I'm assuming that I was pretty clear. I'm proceeding further. Hmm. So I'm just skimming through what is there in the textbook. So how do we find the square root by factorization method? So first of all, resolve the number into prime factors. I've already told you prime factors में resolve करो. Second step is make pairs such that both the factors in each pair are identical. That also I've told you. So considering this number, how do you make pairs? These are your factors. So these two are pair. These two are pair. These two are pair. So before going down, can you please tell me what should I write? So what should I write over here? I'm supposed to find square root of 784. So tell me what to write. Square root of what?
Sir, 28.
Square root of
28.
Okay,
You
you
said
no.
2
gave me the
into
answer
2
Sir,
into
directly.
the
Very
first
good. Very good. Very good. So just
that
Yes,
22
for
into 22 is 77.
absolutely, very good, my dear children. So just for those children who might have not understood the procedure, I'll just explain everything once again with this new example. So here you have 2 multiplied by 2. I'll write 2 square instead of that. Okay, for the second pair, I'll write again 2 square. For the third pair, again I'll write 7 square. Okay. Now, as you know, I can take square common. So what I'm going to do, 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 7, then whole square. Then I'll write square root. Square and square root can get cancelled. Then I'm left with 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 7, which is nothing but 28. दिस इज द एक्चुअल प्रोसीजर. बट क्या हर बार हम लोग इतना सब लिखेंगे क्या? नहीं. वी वोंट बी राइटिंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स एवरी टाइम, सिंस इट इज द फर्स्ट टाइम आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग इन डिटेल. बट while going further we need to have speed. So speed में करते हैं, what do we do? I'll say, since you know ये 2 मतलब 2 स्क्वायर है, बाद में ये स्क्वायर कैंसिल होने वाला है, so why don't you directly write? So there are टू में पेयर बनाओ, पेयर में से एक को निकालो, दूसरे को लिखो. एक को निकालो, दूसरे को लिखो. एक को निकालो, दूसरे को लिखो. सॉरी, दूसरे को लिखो, like this. So end में your answer is going to be 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 7. That is 28. So you can directly write this answer. Okay. There is no need to write each and every step over here. We don't have to waste our time. So we have to save our time by writing this much. So going forward, I'll be writing only this much. So you must understand that this was the original procedure out of which I've done this. So the technique is what? Make a pair, cancel one, write one, cancel one, write one, cancel one, write one. That's it. Okay. So going forward, so here also they have done the same thing. This I've already said. This note we have already discussed. Whenever like I'll just explain this thing. So whenever you have a whole square on a fraction said as a upon b, you can break the square root like this: square root of a upon square root of b. I've already given you a note for this. Okay, the square root can be broken or taken as common. Both we can do if they are in multiplication or division. Since these two numbers are in division, the whole square root can be broken, can be distributed amongst the numerator as well as denominator. Okay, that is what is this notice. Over here, we are just going through an example. So what will be root of 49 upon 25? So how to find it? It's very simple. So first of all, what I'll be doing, okay, let me say I don't know the answer. So first of all, what I'll be doing, I'll be breaking the square root as square root of 49, sorry, square root of 49 upon square root of 25. Now the square root of 49, I know that it should be 7, okay? And square root of 25 is 5. And therefore my answer is 7 upon 5. So this is a method which you can use, okay? Now, by the way, going forward, if you feel कि अरे यार square root करके हर बार दिखाना है क्या, नहीं, every time you don't have to show that. You know that the square root is going to be broken. So दिमाग में ही सोच लो. In your mind itself, you think, okay, anyway ये square root of 49 यहाँ पर लिखना है, numerator में square root of 25 इधर लिखना है. So from here directly you can jump over here. Every time you don't have to write this. ठीक है. The next fraction is what? It's a mixed fraction. So whenever you see a mixed fraction, the mixed fractions are not going to directly work with a square root or squares. So always we have to convert these mixed fraction into regular fractions. This is a compulsory thing which you cannot eliminate. So I hope you know how to convert the mixed fraction into regular fraction. For those who don't know, I'm just going to tell you. So in this case, 9 you will be multiplying with 2 and adding with 7. So your numerator is going to be 9 multiplied by 2 plus 7. Upon denominator is going to be 9 itself. So 9 multiplied by 2 is 18 plus 7 upon 9 will be your fraction, which becomes 18 plus 7 is 25. That's why I've written 25 over in the numerator and 9 in the denominator. Now, since you have this, you directly know the square root of 25 is 5 and the square root of 9 is 3. Okay. So your answer is 5 upon 3. This is your final answer. Yes, you can express this into a mixed fraction format also. I am sure you might be knowing, but still for those who don't know, I'm just going to explain it once. So 5 can be broken into two numbers, that is 3 plus 2 upon 3. Then this can be written as 3 upon 3 plus 2 upon 3. 3 upon 3 becomes 1. 1 plus 2 upon 3, it becomes, that is nothing but 1 and 2 upon 3. So this is how you convert regular fraction into mixed fraction. So I'm just explaining everything once again, just in case if you don't know anything. Okay, so ऐसे मत सोचना कि हर बार मैं ये सब चीजें explain करूंगा. No, I'm explaining it once everything. हाँ, अगर कहीं next time what I'll be doing, I'll be directly after 5 by 3, I'll be directly writing this. So you must know how to convert mixed fraction into regular fractions into mixed fractions, because all these things are finished off in your lower classes itself. So हर चीजें मैं repeat नहीं करूंगा. Now, square root of 0 will always be 0. So you must be knowing some, kuch numbers ke square and square root. So by default, you must know 0 square is 0, 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4. Obviously, 0 ka square root will be 0, 1 ka square root will be 1, 4 ka square root will be 2, like this. So 3 square, 4 square, up until at least take my suggestion is at least 20 square tak to aana chahiye, kam se kam. This is the bare minimum requirement which I'm expecting from you guys. So you must have to remember all these squares, 1 square, 2 square. It's for your own benefit itself. At least 20 square tak agar aap yaad kar payenge, हर एक स्क्वायर नंबर्स, 20 स्क्वायर इज 400 फॉर योर काइंड इन्फॉर्मेशन. सो हर एक स्क्वायर नंबर्स अगर आप याद कर पाएंगे तो योर कैलकुलेशन इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी स्मूथ फॉर यू गाइस. काफी इजीली आप कैलकुलेट कर पाओगे चीजों को. हेंस आई एम सेइंग. ओके, नाउ हाँ, over here 5 square is 25, you know, but at the same time if you think about it, minus 5 square is also 25. Why? I'll explain. So if you're doing 5 square मतलब क्या होता है? Plus 5 multiplied by plus 5. Your answer is going to be 5 into 5, 25, and plus combines together to give you plus itself. Now, if you're multiplying minus 5 square, okay, this I'm going to do. Minus 5 square means minus 5, I'm going to multiply with minus 5 only. So what happens? 5 into 5 is 25. Now, minus and minus comes together to become plus. So 5 square का भी आंसर 25 है and minus 5 square का भी आंसर क्या होता है? 25 होता है. Now दोनों के स्क्वायर का आंसर एक ही है. Now if you take square root of 25, there are two possibilities. It can be plus 5, it can be minus 5 also, because minus 5 का भी square 25 है, plus 5 का भी square 25 है. So you should know that whenever you take square root, there are actually two possibilities, plus or minus. Similarly, if you take square root of 49, it can be plus 7 or minus 7. If you take square root of 4, it can be plus 2 or minus 2. But every time, in order to consider, in order to make our life simpler, we first consider the positive only. If nothing is mentioned in the question, we consider positive only as to be the answer. Here also they have mentioned that over here. Here we are going to consider only positive square roots. In this grade, in this lesson, every time whenever you're going to take a square root, you will be considering only positive. बट इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि नेगेटिव एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है. जस्ट टू अवॉइड द कॉम्प्लिकेशंस, वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू कंसिडर द नेगेटिव स्क्वायर रूट्स नाउ. Okay, in this class, in this chapter, in this grade. In higher grades, when you go to higher grades, you will be considering the negative square roots as well. Okay, whether the number is positive or negative, its square will always be positive. So I've already told you, if your original number is plus 5 or minus 5, plus 2 or minus 2, plus 3 or minus 3, the square number will always be positive, as you can see over here. Irrespective of what the original number was, the square will always be positive. Okay. Therefore, मतलब square करने के बाद, since the number is always positive, so square root of 25, yes, it exists. Square root of minus 25 exist करेगा क्या? नहीं, because even if I'm squaring, क्या होता है? So square root किसका होगा? जिसका square करके आया होगा उसी को return square root कर सकते हैं. Like 5 square किया तब 25 मिला. बट कुछ भी चीज स्क्वायर करेंगे तो -25 नहीं मिलेगा. We can never get -25 after squaring. Therefore, taking square root of -25 is also not possible. Hence, they have said the square root of a negative number is not possible. Okay, so for now, you should believe that the square root of negative number is not possible using the real numbers. Okay, in higher, when you go to 11th standard, 12th standard, beyond 10th, on higher grades, you will be taught in case अगर negative number का square root निकालना है तो क्या method use कर सकते हैं. There is a very tricky, complicated method using complex imaginary numbers, which is not definitely in your grade. It will be in higher grades. In higher grades, you will be taught how to find the square root of negative numbers. आप लोगों को बाद में सिखाया जाएगा. So right now you should understand कि नेगेटिव नंबर्स का स्क्वायर रूट हम लोग लेने ही नहीं वाले हैं. द स्क्वायर नंबर विल ऑलवेज बी अ पॉजिटिव नंबर. ओके, आई बिलीव दिस मच इज क्लियर फॉर यू गाइस. इतना समझ में आया?
You said that we will take the square root negative in higher grades, no, not in this grade.
Not in this grade, yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
But
right now
how
you
is
should
it possible?
yes. Tell me.
How is it possible? Negative square numbers. How are they possible?
See, as I've already said, see, what you are dealing with is real numbers. These are the real numbers which you are dealing with. In real numbers, it is not possible. एंड देयरफॉर हमारे, मैं जस्ट एक हिंट दे रहा हूँ, हमारे साइंटिस्ट ने क्या किया, इमेजिनरी नंबर निकाला है उन्होंने. देयर आर सम नंबर्स कॉल्ड एज इमेजिनरी नंबर. यूजिंग दोज इमेजिनरी नंबर्स व्हिच आर नॉट एग्जिस्टिंग इन रियल वर्ल्ड, they are not existing in real world, using those imaginary numbers they have found a method to find the square root of a negative number. Okay,
okay,
which
sir.
which you won't be understanding now because you don't know what is an imaginary number. ये आप लोगों को बड़े क्लास में सिखाया जाएगा, उसके बाद आपको सिखाया जाएगा कि ये कैसे करना है करके. Right now, since you know only about real number, according to your knowledge, this is not possible. Okay,
Thank you.
sure. There is another method to find the square root. This method is called as square root by division method. Okay. So this method goes like this. So I'll just help you to understand this method. Probably many of you guys might be knowing this method, but still I'll explain this once. So division methods, using the division method, how to find a square root of a positive integer. Obviously, in our case, we are going to consider only positive integer, right? We are not going to consider the negative integer. So you have a number starting from the digit at units place, form the groups of two digits using bars. तो starting from the units place आप क्या करेंगे, इसको दो दो digit के pair में तोड़ देंगे, like 56 66, and इसके आगे there is no pair, I'll take only one digit. ठीक है, 4. The second step is what? Take 4, then find the greatest whole number whose square is 4 or less than 4. In this case, fortunately, पहले ये चेक करो कि मतलब स्टार्ट यहाँ से करना है, मतलब obviously break the number breaking system, you'll start from the units place, but the square root taking method you'll start from the highest possible. Left side वाला जो number है ना, उधर से शुरू करेंगे. देख लो कि whatever is the number, is it a perfect square? In this case, it's a perfect square. तो मैंने क्या किया, मैंने वो 4 का डायरेक्टली स्क्वायर रूट निकाला. स्क्वायर रूट निकालने के बाद क्या मिलता है मुझे, 2 multiplied by 2. तो हेंस इसका स्क्वायर रूट कितना है भाई, 2 है. सो आई हैव रिटन 2 ओवर हियर. राइट 2 इन द कोशेंट एंड द डिवाइजर. सो इसमें से 2 इधर भी लिखा एंड यहाँ पर भी लिखा. एट द बोथ द प्लेसेस आई हैव रिटन. ओके नाउ, तो बेसिकली आई एम कंटिन्यूइंग द सेम 2 ओवर हियर. यहाँ पर आ गया. नाउ व्हाट आई हैव टू डू, नीचे में मैंने 4 लिखा, सो ऊपर और नीचे के नंबर्स को माइनस करना है. ओके जो भी सॉरी, तो जो भी मेरा स्क्वायर नंबर मुझे मिला था वो मुझे माइनस करना है. तो इन दिस केस 4 minus 4 0. ओके, जस्ट फॉर योर रेफरेंस, अगर ये 5 होता ऊपर तो मुझे पता है कि 5 इज नॉट अ स्क्वायर नंबर, इट्स नॉट अ परफेक्ट स्क्वायर. सो व्हाट डू आई डू, आई विल टेक 2, बट 2 का स्क्वायर इज 4, so I would have written 4 over here. Quotient में भी I would have written 2 over here, also I would have written 2. Then 5 minus 4 1 I would have written as the remainder over here. Okay, this is how I'm going to function. Anyway, so those cases we'll discuss in detail later. So right now let us stick to the example which we're dealing right now. Anyway, so 2 I'll write in the quotient as well as divisor. Then subtract 2 multiplied by 2 4, which is in the first group, therefore the remainder is 0, which I've already explained. Bring down the second pair of digits. So first pair is done, so this is done, this is done. Now what I'm left with, the second pair, so I'll be bringing the second pair down altogether. Just a minute. Yeah. So I'll be bringing the second pair all together. So in this case, it is 66. Add the quotient and the divisor, that is 2 plus 2 equal to 4. Write the result on the left of 66. So just a minute, I have to, just a minute. Yeah, I have to zoom out a bit. Yeah, थोड़ा सा बड़ा कर देता हूँ. नहीं, थोड़ा सा भी बड़ा किया तो शायद दिखेगा नहीं. So I've brought down, then add the quotient. Quotient सबसे ऊपर है 2, and the divisor. In this case यहाँ पर divisor कौन है, 2. इन दोनों को add किया. Quotient and divisor को I have to add. So in this case when I'm adding them, I'll be getting what, 4. So I'll write 4 over here. Okay, on the left hand side of 0 6 6. So 4 I've written first of all. Then put the largest possible digit on the right of 4 such that the product of this digit is a new number obtained does not exceed 66, such as digit 1. So what I have to do in this case, as they have already explained, so I have already 4 over here. So whatever number I put 4 के बाजू में, I'll just enable annotation. Yeah. So whatever number I put over here, 4 के बाजू में, same number I have to put over here also. ऐसे ही सोच लेना. Okay. So what I'm going to do, so 4 already है मेरे पास, and then I'll write 1, then multiplied by same number 1. So 41 multiplied by 1. This is one possibility. Another possibility क्या होगा? 42 multiplied by 2. Another possibility, 43 multiplied by 3. Something like this. Okay. So put the largest possible digit on the right of 4 such that the product of this largest digit and the new number does not exceed 66. So आप कैसे decide करोगे whether 41 multiplied by 1 makes sense or 42 multiplied by 2 होना चाहिए or 43 multiplied by 3 होना चाहिए, इसमें से क्या correct होगा? So when you take the product, 41 multiplied by 1 is 41, 42 multiplied by 2 is what? 84. So in this case, this 84 is exceeding the 66. Hence I will not prefer this. Obviously ये नहीं होगा तो इसके ऊपर का कुछ भी नहीं होगा. तो इसी वजह से the largest possible combination, in this case the largest possible combination is 41 multiplied by 1. Therefore I've put 1 on both side over here. Okay, this is how these 1 came over here, and when I multiplied them, when these numbers are multiplied, I get 41 over here. Then what I'll do, I'll subtract these two numbers. 66 minus 41, 66 minus 41 is 25. So whatever is the remainder, I've taken it down. Then what I've done, I'm going to take this number over here. Now, at the same time, so when I used 1 over here, so 1 was the new number which I've put. Now, this 1 I'm going to write as a quotient also. Don't worry. Okay. This 2 was first quotient. This 1 is the second quotient. Now, next step is what? Same story. What we are supposed to do? We are supposed to add the divisor and the quotient. Quotient is what? 1. So divisor and quotient को आप add करेंगे तो you'll be getting 42. Now the next number is what? 42. 42 के side में क्या लिखना है? You'll have to figure it out. So the first possibility is 421 multiplied by 1 or 422 multiplied by 2 or 423 multiplied by 3 and so on. Till कहाँ तक? 426 multiplied by 6. Now you have to check how much is 426 multiplied by 6. Sorry.
2556.
Yeah. When you check 426,
2500.
absolutely. 426 multiplied by 6, when you tried, you get 2556 and the remainder becomes 0. And this 6 will be your next quotient. So if your remainder is 0, which means it's a perfect square. It's a perfect square. अगर ये perfect square नहीं होता तो आपका remainder non-zero number होता था. Since your remainder is 0, you can be assured that this number is a what? Perfect square. And इसका स्क्वायर रूट क्या है? 46656 का स्क्वायर रूट क्या है? ऊपर जो भी कोशेंट बना वो तुम्हारा स्क्वायर रूट बन जाएगा. एंड योर कोशेंट इन दिस केस इज 216. Hence your answer is square root of 46656 is 216. So this is another method to find the square root. कुछ समझ में आया आपको?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so ये steps इसमें detail में लिखा है. I'll explain these steps once again in short. So first of all, you have to make groups. 2 के groups last से बनाने हैं. You have to take the biggest group and check करना उसका if it is a perfect square. If it is not a perfect square, उसके ठीक नीचे का सबसे नजदीक वाला perfect square आपको लेना है जो उससे नीचे होगा. Okay, so in this case 4 is a perfect square. Therefore, I'll write 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. So this is my divisor and this is my quotient. Whatever is the quotient, so this is divisor, this is quotient, and this is also quotient. So whatever is my quotient, I've written down also. So 2 multiplied by 2, sorry, in the next step, I'll be adding them. 2 plus 2, 4 I'll write. And then here I'll be subtracting. 4 minus 4, 0. Next pair को नीचे लेके आया. 44 के साथ ऐसा कोई number डालना है. This is your combination. Either you write 1 in the both places or 2 in the both places, but your answer should always be less than 66. Okay. Now, obviously 1 only can give me that answer. So hence I put 1 over here. And 41, I subtracted 66 and 41. And 1 is my next quotient. 1 is my next quotient. 2 was my first quotient. 1 is my next quotient. And then 41 plus 1, 42 I've got over here. Then 42 के साथ same number I have to multiply. So that my answer is less than or equal to 2556. So that's how here also less than or equal to. Okay. So that's how I got 6 over here. So 426 multiplied by 6 was my third quotient, which gave me 2556. So my third quotient is 6. Hence 21. Since the remainder is 0, I can say that it's a perfect square and the square root is 216. So I've just explained this once again just to make sure that the logic is clear for everyone. Okay. Now the next method is to find square root of a positive decimal fraction. But before that, our meeting time is going to end right now. So we'll have to exit this meeting and join again. Okay. Let's join on the same link itself.